one of the concerns people have, of course, is why should we do anything that really is just going to prevent
I'm really quite honored and honored to have with me here a high-level panel of microfinance and energy experts with either current or prospective energy lending plans or involvement to outline what they see as the key strategies to reaching scale in this sector in the future. What are the challenges and opportunities in place which will determine whether the unelectrified billions in particular can be reached, whether through microfinance or other channels. So we're going to examine some of the big breakthroughs to come to try to be futurists for the afternoon. So what do these people next to me and energy finance experts see as the drivers that will catalyze scale in this space, from financing schemes and technology to distribution models, customer knowledge? In short, where do they see the BOP energy finance space in the coming, let's say, 5 to 10 years from now? So this final session of today's workshop doesn't just try to describe the space as it is now, but to look ahead. It is obviously great to understand who is doing what, how they're doing it, with whom, and what lessons can be learned so far, as we've been talking about all day. But if we assume that the market for energy lending is going to stay the same, then we're making, obviously, a great error that arguably the microfinance industry has sometimes been guilty of itself in the past. So, lessons, partnerships, products, technology, distribution models, and client needs all evolved. We must adapt, innovate, communicate, and test ideas. So what are the big breakthroughs to come? At ARC Finance, it's core to our outlook that we believe that there's going to be evolution across many aspects of this sector. So to discuss these future trends, we have a fantastic panel to wrap up today. We have Mr. Chandra Shekhar Ghosh, the MD of one of the world's largest MFIs, that is planning to introduce an energy program in partnership with ARC Finance that has in itself the potential to reach tremendous scale. We have Willem Nolens, who's MD of a solar energy company in Uganda, also an ARC partner under our REMP program that Nikki was talking about earlier. And SolarNow is providing a range of solar home system packages with lease-to-own finance pay plans. We have Dipal, the founder and chairman of a Bangladeshi solar company that has the target of making Bangladesh the first solar nation, as well as, of course, being the founder of Grameen Shakti. And we have the inimitable Armacost, my boss, and the founder and MD of ARC Finance, who is going to talk today about something a little bit different, and this is ARC's work in Haiti on linking remittances with clean energy and how that may be applicable to the microfinance industry in the future. So I'm going to start with who's been doing this, I think, the longest, and that's Dipal, and clearly one of the global pioneers in small-scale energy finance. So Dipal, if you could just start by telling us briefly about Bright Green Energy Foundation, how it's similar or different from Grameen Shakti, and some of the milestones you've had along the way, and if you could also, we were talking about some of the incredible figures of scale that you reached earlier, but if you could give us some updated figures on who's been reached.
Thank you, Sam. Good afternoon to everybody. It is very enlightening to discuss about the energy in a forum, a small forum from the experienced microfinance industry. I believe this is a small. I think it will be a bigger in the future. I worked with Grameen Bank from day one in my own village, 35 years, and also the founding managing director of Grameen Shakti for almost 14 years. I received one award from Abu Dhabi called Giant Fusion Energy Prize. They introduced the prize in 2009. I was the first winner, so then I have to develop a foundation called Bright Green Energy Foundation. So apart from the microcredit or microfinance, energy is very important in our perspective. In 1996, when we started Gramin Shakti, at that time 15% people have electricity in Bangladesh, 85% people no electricity. Right now, around government statistics say 52% people have electricity, 48% no. Roughly say 50% people have electricity, 50% no. We tried to develop some renewable energy program in 1996, but we investigated what type of renewable energy can be suitable for Bangladesh. One, we tried initially wind energy. We bought 4 wind turbines from Barua Wind Power from Oklahoma, 1.5 to 3 pieces and 10 kilowatt. And then we tried biogas, biodigester, and then energy savings, energy conservation in two stoves, and also the solar energy. But we found Bangladesh is a plain land, plenty of sunshine, 365 days. We have 340 days sunshine, so this is very interesting solar energy, but it is very cost expensive. At that time we bought in 1996 $7 per gigawatt. Gradually it's come down to $4, $3. But last 3-4 years it has come down to less than $1, $2. I think there is different quality, but it's going very well. One, our friend from EatCall mentioned that before that EatCall participation in 2003, the World Bank sent a delegation, Bangladesh fact-finding mission, or we call it conception mission. We have a long debate with them because they have long experience in other country. They want subsidy, say $90 subsidy to every customer, but we argue with them. We build a market without subsidy, and if you come with a huge subsidy, then it will be market will be distorted. But we have a long debate because I was pioneering designing the solar home system, 17-watt system and 20-watt system like that, with the help of Siemens and others. But finally, they agree. Yes, 10,000 system, 50,000 system total will be in Bangladesh. 10,000 system will $90 grant per system to reduce the cost and give it directly to the customer. We argue that if you give the customer $90, this system will go to the other people, because you are thinking about the poor people, but poor people will not be benefited. It goes to the wrong group of people. So if you give the money to recycle to the energy company, that will be more recycling than they have the capacity to grow and build up, and they can give more services or cost-effective services to the customer. So they listen to us. They give us the per system, say $300 and $90 grant. So we got the money and we use it in a nice way, in a creative way. So we extended loan for 6 months, and many people coming gradually for an extension of loan. But to sell one system, we have to take 10 visits to convince a customer to buy a system. Because even we met the Union Council chairman, member, and other school teacher, nobody believed in solar energy. So once we install the system in the midnight, when there is a light, in the chairman of local council, he invited us, 15 people have a dinner, and we discussed because the light is important. Everybody running to the village, light is there. So this is more important. And we don't have the deep cycle battery. Only we started a car battery, automatic battery, only for 1 year. Now we have a plenty of deep cycle battery for 5 years guarantee, and it can go up to 6-7 years. So this is the beginning. Fortunately, EatCall was there, but government was not interested whether the EatCall for big infrastructure, roads, or telecommunications and others, but they are very careful not to give money, because if you give money, they may get problems. So they are a little bit shaky for the big infrastructure. But when World Bank came up and they finally investigated what are the organizations they can go through. One is the LGRD, one is the, and finally they dig out the EatCall. And EatCall, what Mr. Nazmul mentioned, that they are not interested because they are a big infrastructure loan, not for the small infrastructure like a solar home system, 200 or 30 or 40 watt. But they reluctantly agree because the chief executive at that time Dr. Khan was there, and he's a very good economist and also very nice person and also very clean image in the management. So he, as the head of the, and then we had a good talk. Finally, they agree, and they say, World Bank said Grameen Shakti would not be included as a partner, and Dr. Khan fight with them. The World Bank, they said yes, because they demonstrate something. But now they have a lot of money and all these things. So, but they don't know the chemistry, how these things operate. Finally, because of the insistence of Dr. Khan, and we have demonstrated something, the quality, and then we become a partner. But I took it seriously because of 50,000 system for 5 years, 8 years program, but we finish it 3.5 years because we take the mileage of the thing. And then 50,000 system, one bulk, next time they come up with 120,000 system. Because the simultaneously started with the REB, Rural Electrification Board, fee for services. Our is an ownership model, you pay, within 2 years, 3 years, you become the owner of the system. And we give a guarantee panel for 20 years, battery for 5 years, and LED for 3 years. So there are the charge controller for 3 years. There are a lot of guarantees is there. So, and then gradually customer come up, and initially it was we need a marketing. We go for a marketplaces and we show the TV, everything by SolarNow. But nowadays we don't need any marketing because mobile phone, now they're connecting and they see the leaflet and then price everything, and so marketing is now almost because of the million system. And Equal also played a very important role because they create a credibility of the management of the funding and the quality of the operation through the partner organization. That brings the confidence in the World Bank and Asian Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, KfW, GIZ, and also now recently JICA is also coming up. So at that time we have a celebration. Every 10,000 system we invite the big high government officials, and the Dr. Khan organized a meeting and the paper. So 10,000 system. Then I hadn't given a chance to speak about the future. I mentioned that we like to go 1 million. At that time only 10,000 system. And many partner, after my presentation, people say, oh, you give a very hot speeches like this, a million. Now 10,000 system, we talk about the million system. And Equal also didn't thought about the 1 million system at that time. And then we recently have a 1 million, and then after 1 year and a half year, then 2 million. Now it's 2.5 million. We are hoping for a 4 million budget already is there, but 6 million. I believe what in my leaflet I always say, Bangladesh should be the first solar nation. What my definition is, 51% of the population use solar energy daily basis. Then I would say solar nation. If you say 50 and 51%, because Bangladesh 50% people have no electricity. Even in the urban area we have load shedding, electric supply. Even government decided to 3% of the light. Say if you have new connection, new building, you have to get electricity. Before that electricity, you have to put 3% of the total demand solar panel. Then you connect it, then government certified, then they get the new connection. So this is a compulsion, a law. I think the government also encouraging, and we also create a Bangladesh Solar and Renewable Association, also pushing government to take a Bangladesh solar vision or mission up to 2000 or 2021, because government thinking 2020 to a middle income country. There is a lot of potentials come up. I think the today's subject, reaching a scale and looking ahead, I believe there is a chance, because if we can achieve 5 million, then a lot of job we created. 100,000 technicians, 100,000 technicians and others is working. We have only one battery company. Now we have a 10 battery company, maybe 15. Small is coming up. We have a lot of cable industry. Cable industry is growing. We have a charge controller manufacturing. 7 now solar assembling factory. So, and the LED assembly factory is coming up. I believe within 2 to 3 years, we don't need to import panel and other accessories, because Bangladesh is becoming self-sufficient. So there is all qualities is coming up that is not only junk of other countries in Bangladesh, but it would be own industry grow. And the financing, I believe, is one of the important things. Because of 7,000 systems, then we go for a monthly 2,000 system and then 3,000 and 4,000 now. I think, I don't know last month was big, I mean maybe 100,000 because we know 80,000 per month last few months. I think last month it was a big jump because you know the winter is coming up, November, December, January a little bit slow, but again February it pick up. But after October is good because all the partner organization raise the service charges. That's why last month it was very good estimate. Even my new organization I built in 2010, 1,200 staff, Bright Green Energy Foundation. Last month we installed 5,117 systems. I believe all the partners maybe 100,000 systems. So I think 86,000 systems. So I think it is growing. I believe 100,000 would be every month in the few months ahead of time. I believe this is a growing every year 1 million. So if you're looking for a 7.5 million, I calculated 10% per system because in the shops, in the local marketplaces, not only 5 people, a lot of people come and buy. So there is and family size is 5.5 in Bangladesh. So I say 6 people, 7 people. If you consider 5 people, so it's 2.5. So it's almost more than 10 million people is there. So I believe with a couple of years, 75 million can be enlightened from the solar energy and other. But biogas is also growing now. ITCOL also looking for 100,000 biogas plant, already 25,000 already covered, and it's gradually growing because of the a little bit difficult technology. But improved cooker stoves I have done when I was in Shokti, signed with the JP Morgan for a million improved cooker stoves. And now ITCOL is coming up with a million with the World Bank financing, and they are designing because you need a design of the product. So if once your design is approved, then all the partners will be trained up, and then we can translate the improved cooker stoves. That's because we have 30 million households. I believe renewable energy can play a very important role. Is what Nazmul mentioned, $500 million, but I believe it will be $1 billion within a couple of years, and it will grow. And not only the $1 billion, but you can solve 100 million people's problems because they have no light. What extension of working hours? They have light. They can watch television, mobile phone. 3 main items they are getting quickly. One is the light for education, light for household work, and light extension of working hours, everything. Number 2, children education, because they can, under the kerosene lamp, they cannot read, write because they can sleep. And then television. Most of the cases they have television, 50%, more than 50% television, but 100% have a mobile phone charging. So, and I think the mobile phone charging, television and education under the light, it is very attractive, and a lot of places, laptop and other computer centers, IT centers run by the entrepreneur because they have put a lot bigger sizes. And nowadays, 50 watt was very popular. 50 watt, 4 lights, television, and the mobile phone charging. Now, 20 watt became very popular because LED comes, 3 lights, mobile phone charging easily. In some of them, without permission, they run a small television also. So I think this is growing, but we are also encouraging other renewable energies, say mini grid or a solar pump or other technologies, biogas plant, improved cooking stoves, and other things. We have a lot of things. Even we are thinking when I was in Shokti that we give a tree, plant of tree to the. If you buy a system, you get 2 trees. Now, ecology encouraging, we are coming up with the idea. If you buy a system, we give a 2 tree plant, so that after 25 years, you can sell 1 tree, you get a 25,000 taka. You can buy a 2 solar home system, even by one harvesting 1 tree. So there is a, and Bangladesh is a, if you put anything is grow. So I think there is a lot of scope is coming up, and I believe because it is our moral responsibility. We grew up in a country and 50% people without electricity. It is our moral responsibility how to address the problem in a cost-effective way. So far, solar home system, biogas plant, improved cooker stoves is growing very well, and I believe the renewable energy that depends on the topography of the different country region. So solar energy in Bangladesh, okay. In other country, I was in Ethiopia. There is a hydro, micro hydro is growing very well, and you know in Ethiopia, 15% people have electricity, 85% no. This is the situation like Bangladesh 20 years back. But 100% electricity from the renewable sources. And they decided, I think it is a very interesting that if you consider in a new situation, you can design a different way. I believe the financing is very important, and the product design we discuss a lot of the technical committee of ITCOM is a national committee. They consider every time, review, and they give a new design, and also and you have to approve it. And once you're in the field level, they're checking randomly, and if they find it, this is not good enough, and this company is blacklisted, and also has to change the whole thing, and then so there is a check and balance. And recently, World Bank also financed Estonia ITCOM for a testing facility coming up, and you can check all the panels, everything, battery, all parts of the solar or renewable energy. You can check, and you give the certification in our own country also. So this is a interesting situation. I believe, apart from the microcredit, in Bangladesh is a country of flooding microcredit organization, microfinance, but all of them now try to jump into the renewable energy. So there is anything you do Bangladesh, unless you dilute everything, they are jumping. So jumping is good, but again you need to maintain the quality. So quality is very important, especially for the technology, because you need a management, you need a maintenance. So that's why we like to create a technician at the grassroots level. I train a lot of women and young boys, and eventually there would be the after-sales maintenance in the ground level. And if you maintain the quality, we always say the recovery rate is not because of the customer. The recovery rate is because of the company, because of the quality of the product. Once you give the good quality of product, even we can go the local leaders, he's not paying all this, and they can motivate them. So this is the 1 or 2%, but most of the people repair because they feel this is a worthwhile for their livelihood, for their family, for their children education. In that case, I believe any country has an opportunity to develop renewable energy program according to the physical situation of their country. And financing is important, but we have to design how to financing also the other accessories, other mechanism. It can be done, and Bangladesh is proactive in microfinance and also in renewable energy. I think this is a good laboratory to test anything. But India, in our neighbor, they are also Rajiv Gandhi Solar Mission. They are also growing very fast in a bigger way. But I will be in the next day after tomorrow. Some of the partners are coming to see me because they like to go for a solar home system in India. So, and our good friend Shandra in Bangalore is trying for many years same way, but the financing is different. So that's why in Bangladesh, if you have financing, it can grow for a large scale, and there is a bigger impact. You can cost down, maintenance and other facility industry grow, and there is a big chance. So that's why I believe scaling up is very important to benefiting the customer, because the cost reduction and good services and the equipment will be available. Thank you very much.
You've made my job very easy, Dipal, because I had 4 or 5 questions for you, but you've actually managed to cover almost all of them. I was going to ask you about the replicability issue, how much of the scale that you've reached in Bangladesh is applicable to other countries. I was going to ask you about your vision for breakthroughs to come, trends, and you've touched on all of that, so it's probably a good time to move on to Willem next. Willem, SolarNow's, and as I mentioned, is one of our partners, and have developed a credit facility model that allows their solar home system customers to pay for larger scale solar devices in smaller increments. So, Willem, could you briefly explain to the audience how the business model works and the ways that you think it's similar to or different than microcredit or energy lending from an MFI? We start with that.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Just to give you a little bit of background about SolarNow, it's exactly 10 years ago. I was managing a small MFI in Ghana, and I got a phone call from a foundation in the Netherlands saying, you know, you're doing microfinance in Ghana, you seem to be doing a good job. Could you also do solar lending? Financing a company that provides solar home systems to our clients. Can you do the financing? And I said, no way. No way. I have, you know, in this MFI I have plenty of problems. I want to grow. I don't want to dilute my attention to things I don't know. By the way, who are going to be my clients? Rural farmers with irregular income? What am I supposed to do with it? At that time I didn't know I would, 5 years ago, take over that foundation and transform it into a for-profit company called SolarNow. Very interesting. 4 years ago, we did try to link companies selling solar products with microfinance institutions. We tried it in 8 countries in Africa, and we noticed that the top management of those MFIs was super enthusiastic. It's green, it's good, we are getting new customers, it's adding to our social objective. But when we implemented it with an MOU, and okay, then finally, you know, we had to go through middle management who already identified some problems, and then in the end, we had to work with the loan officers in the branches, in the field. And those loan officers really didn't appreciate it at all. The most successful program, I think, was in Burkina Faso with 32 clients, showing it was completely not scalable. Why not? It really had to do with the fact that at that time, people didn't trust solar at all. It had a bad reputation. The reputation was spoiled by numerous small sales points in rural areas that were, with good intent, selling inferior quality systems. Why did they sell inferior quality? Because the customers couldn't afford good quality. Why couldn't they afford it? Because they didn't have access to funding. So at that time we set up, when we realized this was not going to work, we set up a hire purchase scheme. Meaning our dealers would find customers, we would finance the solar home system, and the client would pay us back. And the clients were extremely enthusiastic about it immediately. Why? Not only because this, finally, they could afford the solar home system with a better quality, but in particular because this reduced the risk for the client. You know, they didn't have to pay all the price, so it was a much better proposition. We also saw a great potential. Actually, I still think, and I haven't heard it enough maybe today, that's why I want to emphasize it. This is a gold mine, and we have just scratched the surface. And you know, we are in it to make profits. Let me be very honest about that. Maybe a dirty word, but we want to make money, and we believe in the huge market potential of solar in Africa, in other continents of course as well. But you know, we focus on Africa, and we clearly want to build up this market and to not only make profits ourselves, but also to prove to the commercial sector that this is a very attractive, viable place to invest their money in. So what are we doing? We focus on rural households and entrepreneurs. We sell solar home systems in the range of between 50 and 500 watts. The interesting thing about our product is that it's modular. So people buy it, and over time they can upgrade it. So they don't have to buy another system, they can just continue upgrading it. We give 12-month credit to our clients. Typically they pay 25% up front and then 75% in 12 monthly installments. And we are now starting to introduce also the appliances. So we're not only focusing on solar anymore, but we are introducing televisions, fridges. We are even right now looking at importing tablet computers, so that in the middle of the bush somewhere in rural Uganda, people can access the internet. That's great, and you know, we want to see more of that. So we are a distribution company. We have nothing to do with the design or manufacturing of products. We just buy what is off the shelf, mainly in China. We have our own branches, currently 35 branches in Uganda. They sell it, they install it. While they do that, they have to take, and I can't say it also enough, extreme good care of quality. Why? This is a below-the-line marketing sector. You do your marketing after the sale. If your marketing is good, every customer will bring you 5 new clients. If you do your quality bad, forget about it. In that whole region, you won't sell anymore for at least 6 months. So we've learned that the hard way, and quality is extremely important. It has nothing to do only with the product itself. It goes from the moment of sale, the seal, avoiding over-promising by the sales staff. This system will solve all your energy needs. You can do everything with it, and the client starts using it, is disappointed. A disappointed client doesn't pay. Problem. We should avoid it. The installation. I mean, we're training our franchises. The most important part of the installation has nothing to do with how you mount a panel on the roof, or it only has to do with the user training. Does the user really understand very well how to use the system and what to do if there's a problem? And finally, the after sales. So all our systems come with 24 months of free after sales service, apart from the warranties that are similar to what Dipal mentioned before. It's 20 years on the panel and everything, which is standard manufacturer's warranty. I think that's what we do.
Your sales have really been taking off in the last year, but there were different incarnations of the business model in the year or two before that. Can you explain what were the key obstacles that you were facing, or the poor decisions that you perhaps made, and what bottleneck has freed up to allow you to grow now?
Right. Well, the first mistake we made was maybe starting too big. So we started this in 4 different countries at the same time, which was a very bad idea. When you want to be successful, you have to think big, but start small. And this is something we did it wrong. The other thing we've also learned is about the quality aspect. So we started doing this with solar dealers, existing dealers in the market. Those dealers were already used to what we would say inferior quality. And that also is the reason why MFIs in many countries in Africa have never been interested in this sector. So what those MFIs missed was a country or nationwide operating supplier which would really be strong enough to honor its warranty obligations. There was nothing like that, and still in most countries in Africa there is nothing like that. There's only very small scale suppliers. And so after all, we decided to work with a franchise model where we completely control our own branches. We can replace the franchise if the quality is not good, and therefore we keep full control. Of course, also to manage our delinquency. We are actually we are, in a sense, we are an MFI, focusing on assets only, and that's something we had to learn. Also, access to funding has been a problem for us. We have constantly been working in a situation where we didn't have sufficient funding to really reach break-even. So we continued to make losses, which in itself was not helping us to do fundraising. Well, more funding could get us out. This right now seems to be solved. So we did our first equity closing, and we also, with the help of Armacost, we got a local bank facility, so a local currency debt facility from a local bank in Uganda, which we received also by a guarantee structure, which was negotiated by Armacost from the USAID, which has really helped us, because right now it allows us to reach break-even. Actually, we reached break-even last month, so we are profitable. Yeah. We're currently selling around 300 systems a month. The turnover is around $250,000. So showing you that per month, showing you that the average system is quite big. We do many schools, we do many other kind of enterprises, but the most sold system is around $350. It's the 50-watt system with the 6 lights, radio, and phone charging facility.
Great. Well, you did what Dipal did. You anticipated my next question. I was going to ask how you leverage different funding sources to get scale. But can you tell us what your 2, 3, 5-year targets are now, and are you planning to expand back into the neighbouring countries?
Yeah, so we are a for-profit company, so our main objective is making a lot of profit. And we believe that making a lot of profit will leverage more and more investors, commercial investors to enter the sector, which is in the ultimate benefit of the sector. But that's really what we want to prove. You know, this is an extremely attractive market, so you better join right now. And we need much more companies doing this, because in the end, that's what we really need to have in place if we want to grow the sector and reach more people. I was this morning. I heard several times. You know, we have, for example, people buying a Toyota car, and when they buy the Toyota car new from the dealer, they can also access an asset finance, which is made available by Citibank or Barclays or whatever bank. I mean, this model, I think, strange enough, I must admit, maybe the asset finance model that we are adopting, in the very long term, is not the most optimal model to reach the market. I believe actually that over time, when we get more and more, when customers start to know the leading solar companies as they know the leading financial companies, it becomes easier to have different companies and have, let's say, the customer getting the loan from the bank or the MFI and buying the system from Toyota. I mean, or whatever. It's in terms of transaction cost, it makes a lot of sense. Also, I must say, as an asset finance company, it comes with a lot of challenges. I mean, for example, look at our people in the field. Every system they sell is still requiring a lot of their, we have to fight for every sale. It's not a product that is just, people are queuing for it, like cash loans, for example. You really have to sell it. You have to prove your product is good, and then you will get more customers. But the moment they have bought your product, you have to change your face. You're suddenly the loan officer. You have to make sure they pay on time. Our problem is, not that our clients are paying late. Our problem is not that customers are defaulting. In the end, when they default, we go there, we repossess the system. And immediately, they run to the market to sell a goat, and they pay, because they never want to lose their light. So we hardly have default, less than 1%. The late payments, we have a lot. The discipline of clients is low. We are way too friendly because we have this smiling sales face. We want to sell, and so people are paying late. And what's the real problem of people paying late? Is that it also spoils our relationship with them. We have to chase them. We have to be unfriendly. You haven't paid. You have to come now because else we come and take our system back. And then suddenly you see that they are less tempted to, for example, buy an upgrade after 1 year, or send their neighbors to buy from you. I mean, so I guess I'm not answering your question, but this is something what I wanted to explain to you. It's not necessarily that asset finance, I'm not dogmatic about this model. I think over time, when we are, like Toyota is right now, our customers really know, I buy from them, I get good quality, and when there's something, I go to them, no problem. I think it's better than even the asset finance that we're doing right now. But we have to do the financing, because the MFIs currently are simply not willing to do it. And I think that's a message that we've been trying it for years. I understand the MFIs, in particular in Africa, are not so interested yet. And of course, we try to, by showing them right now that we actually are making profits, that we're growing every month, we try to get their interest so that they do more and more.
Well, that's an opportune segue to speak to the head of one of the largest MFIs in the world, I think. Bandhan has millions of members in rural and urban areas, on-grid, off-grid, under-electrified. Mr. Ghosh, you recently took the decision to develop an energy finance capability within the organization, and when an MFI of Bandhan size makes a strategic decision like that, everyone pays attention because it's potentially sector-changing. So I'd first like to ask you what really underpinned that decision to undertake this pilot, and second to that, I know that you have implemented over many months a a vision building process with your senior management to get buy-in. Why was this so important, and what's it involved?
Thank you. Maybe is it good? Fine, because I'm not very good in help. So thank you, Nikki and Saiful and Chan, to give these opportunities on that. Till now, we have not started on any solar program on that. But why we are thinking of that? If you go to the background of the microfinance, in our country situation, the 65% people, those are adult, they have not any bank account. That is only the very less than 40% people are having a bank account, and out of that, only 17% people have a credit account. They are not getting the access of credit from the bank. So then we started 12 years before 2001 as a microcredit organization. And after the journey of the 12 years, we reached to the nearly 5 million customer and all our current borrower. So this is the one side. Because of gap of this country, then we have to come forward to how we can be served that segment to provide these services of that. In the same way, if we go to that, another issue is there in India. 70% of the people are not using the sanitary electric, but 80% people are using mobile. So which one is very important for the people? People are not known about it, what is good for their health. So educate the people and install the sanitary electric and practice it there. So that program we started in the last financial year. We already the 125,000 this electric have been installed among our borrower, and also we have given the loan, small loan to them. So third one is coming on that. This is my practical life also when I was in a student life of that. We are using the copy. That is I don't know what is the English name say on that. And that copy, we are the four brothers sitting in the sec in the art, and one copy given in here in the front of middle. But every brothers will fight with each other. No, if you give this, I am not looking, I am not seeing. And another one is pulling it on their side of that. So on that basis, we have been come this situation in this position. And you know that the Bengali have a good educationist people named the Vidyasagar. And we know that he is read out his book under the lamp of the road. So it is a street lamp. So it is a big example to the life of us is there. We are not very careful about it. In the student life, how lamp is needed on that. This is the one side is very big, and second side is there. Lamp is means in light, and light is in two aspect is there. One side aspect it is very dangerous, and another aspect this is very powerful. Solar is a very powerful. Other than solar, copy is very dangerous because poor family have a small heart. So any time this copy have been helped to burn the house and even in the village and destroyed immediately on that, and no insurance company come forward to recover on that, pay something on that. So in that sense, we are feeling that why not when we have been reached already in the 5 million families, why not we can be provided these services to them, and they can be helped from these services to give the good education for their children. And other part is also they will be also used as an entrepreneur. No, you know that the small entrepreneurs, right? We are supporting to the credit. They also using their money to make some of the cottage type of things. No, like on the hand globe. That there is a need some of the light. Where is the light? Because electricity is We are saying that in the Indian context, 55.3% people using the electricity. But out of that, in the 90% in the rural, not using. So major part of the electricity user in a urban or metro city or industrialist of that. And other part is there. Those are using electricity like in the Bihar and the Jharkhand areas or interior in the rural. There is a big problem is there, the electricity, there is a not adequate of the, what you say that so that there is sometimes is maybe 10% of time of the whole 24 hours they are getting the light. And their voltage is not enough to see anything in there. No, maybe not in the TV, they cannot read anything in there. So it is better on that if they will be use this type of lamp, then it can be helpful to them. And other part is there. This is a big challenge. Whatever the last panel, all people have been talked about the challenge. So that I have also this challenge. I feel that. But if I not start it, how I can be find out the way to solve this challenge of that? If we say that the mobile have been started, but before starting the use of mobile or manufacturing of the mobile repairing center have not started. Mobile repairing center have been started after using the mobile, when people have been suffering, and then some people has come forward how it can be repaired. In the same way, when anyone have been manufactured as a car in the Mercedes in the UK or any other of the country, they have not in a what is called that the people those are maker to repair the car, how can run it. So they will not make it in India. So after sending the car, then people automatically have been started to how it can be repaired, and this is a job opportunities. People have been asked to the training, then it will be called that. For that reason, I say that we can start for this, and the challenge will come, and the people also set up for the skill development, how it can be repaired or replace it. That will be also possible on that. That is not, I got that big challenge in there. And we also, big thing is there, the Indian perspective is Bangladesh is an owner of the microfinance, so that it is happy to us what is wrong they have been done, we cannot do it. And whatever the solar program they have been done, whatever they have been, any error or wrong, so that we cannot be migrated in our side. So that is our opportunities in there. So that will be like a good program and support to the poor people in the interior rural, where people can be use this and to educate their children in a good way. This is our objective of that. Am I complete your answer?
Well, yes. The second part of the question, if you could briefly touch on, was the process since making that decision and assessing the need and deciding that it was worth the risk and facing these challenges. What has broadly been the process of getting buy-in from your management, and can you tell the audience what you hope to achieve in the next few years? It's the key point I think here is that you two will be setting up a separate organization, correct, rather than doing it through the MFI per se.
Yes, this is the good things you have been raised on that. The big challenge for this program failure, if or any error has come, it is related immediately to the credit. If I use the name of the same of the company name is like on Bandhan. So we how we can be avoid this risk, because this is a reputation risk, not the risk of the money only. People say that they are a cheated organization, they would not like to give the service, and this is because we are working with the illiterate people, and awareness is a very factor of that to understand this real fact. They would not like to listen about it. So for that reason, in any case of Bandhan practices there, every month we have the management meeting, and if anything you would like to change, would like to discuss in the management meeting, then we will decide on that. But this is the strategic decision. So strategic decision we have been placed to the meeting, the management meeting, and a lot of question has come on that. Why? For profit? No. Why? So to save the people's life or money, or a lot of things have been discussed in that meeting, and 2-3 meetings we have been passed on that, not yet passed on this issue. And then we have decided, okay, fine, we will start as a pilot, not in the name of Bandhan, and with a separate company, and we think about it how we can be develop the system and process to provide these services and minimize the risk of that. And that up to we have been decided on that. And the last board meeting I also placed, the board also same issue have been raised. No, it is a reputation risk. You will not go to the in the name of Bandhan, because we have the credit risk will become as a very high. So for that reason, we are now ready to start in a separate company. Through that, we will be like to pilot it, and then we will be scaling. But we will be like to use the network. What network we have, we would like to use that network to provide these services. That easily can be gone. Only problem is there, the separate company or separate people. Problem is there, the cost will become as very high. No, if we can be use the normal of the channel, that will be our cost will be not that much. So this is the issue is there. But we can be try first, then we'll be.
I'll come back to all three of you gentlemen, but after. But I'd like to ask, change the theme a little bit and ask Nikki some questions. We at ARC believe that there's a range of financing mechanisms for clean energy. There's no one-size-fits-all answer in all circumstances. And one of the most innovative mechanisms that we and you have tested involves using remittances as the financing mechanism in Haiti. So could you tell the audience a little bit about how that model works?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. We decided a few years ago that we wanted to test the use of remittances, which is sending money back across a border home. So if I'm in the United States, I'm sending money back home to Haiti as a way to pay for clean energy. And the genesis of that idea was that we were acutely aware that the annual remittance market globally is about $370 billion. So that's a lot of money that is just flowing fairly unintermediated from people who are relatively poor people in developing countries to people who are relatively poor people in developing countries. And actually, sometimes also remittances are going from a city like Delhi, for example, to people in Bihar. So you can even have inside country remittances. And this is a very interesting market that financial companies have not really found a way to tap very effectively. But I had actually done a lot of research on remittances prior to starting ARC. And one of the things that we found in that work was that people who are on the sending side, even though they don't want to admit it, actually like to control the use of the remittances. So they'll never say to you, I want to control what my mother is going to do with the money, or my sister, or my brother, or my auntie. But if you say to them, do you pay for the education of your niece directly? They'll say yes. If you say, do you pay for the medicine of your mother directly? They'll say yes. If you say, do you pay for the doctor's bill of your father directly? They'll say yes. So we had these examples that people were using remittances in a targeted way. We decided, with the support of the Inter-American Development Bank, to do some market research to see if there was really an appetite among senders and among receivers for using remittances like this. One of the things that you may have noticed as you're listening to presentations about ARC is that we believe very much in market research. That means we think that it's very important to not just decide some clever idea in New York, but to decide to test it with our partners and with their clients on the ground to see whether that idea actually makes sense in the local context. And when we did our market research, we found some quite startling figures, which were that both senders and receivers said that between 10 and 25% of the money sent was actually used one way or another for energy. Normally not clean energy, normally for the purchase of kerosene or charcoal. So that was very interesting for us. We thought maybe there's potentially a market here. And then the next job was to work out whether there was a company that would be interested in experimenting. This was a little bit of a crazy idea. Was there a company that was interested in experimenting on this with us? And we identified Haiti as an interesting country because very large amounts of money were flowing from New York and Miami to Haiti. The diaspora is quite large in both of those two countries. And Haiti, on the receiving side, as I said earlier, has only a 12% electrification rate, so there was very strong demand. So the demand story actually looked quite interesting. We identified a money transfer company called Soja Express, which is actually the leading money transfer company in Haiti. It's the #1 partner of Western Union. And the woman who was responsible for their diaspora relations became our internal advocate in the company. And the CEO of the company, a guy called Frank Lanois, I remember the first time I met him, he hardly exchanged any words. I could tell he was so skeptical about this idea. And he smiled and he was very polite, but really he didn't show any enthusiasm about this idea. And now that the project is being successful, I say to Frank, you know, the biggest gift you gave us was not to say no in those beginning stages. So we tested the model, we ended up identifying, we decided through the market research that the best products to use for this platform were products that were more or less the same cost as the average size of a remittance. So the average size of a remittance to Haiti is about $125. So we worked out that products that were really above $60 and less than $200 were about the right kind of size product to put on the platform, which meant that they were relatively small solar home systems. So 2-watt systems, 5-watt systems were the perfect size products to put on the platform. But we decided, because of also demand from the customer base, they also really liked some of the smaller lantern products, which we realized were not going to make any economic sense to put on the platform. Soja Express decided that they wanted to sell those products for cash on the receiving side. And this made sense because they were also a supplier of Digicel phones. So they were the local agents, if you like, of a telecom, actually the major telecom company in Haiti. So the product, the program started out with 3 products available on the remittance platform and 2 much smaller products available for cash sales, D-Light and Barefoot Power products. After not even 1 month of sales, the customers on the receiving side said, why can't we buy all of the products here in Haiti? And we were testing a remittance program, so my initial reaction was, well, no, we're testing a remittance program, we can't do that. And then I thought to myself, you must be out of your mind. If they're asking for the products, you have to say yes. So we ended up with support from the IDB, adjusting the program so that all of the products were available on the Haitian side, but only 3 products were available on the diaspora side, on the sending side. For Soja Express, that had not reduced any CO2 up until that point, that was a big success. And the most interesting point to me was that the customer satisfaction rates were extremely high. They were around 95%. And one of the reasons was that we had initiated a warranty program where the experience of the customer was seamless. So there were very few problems where customers had had difficulty with the product, but what they would do is they would take the product back, and that day they were handed a new product. So they didn't, whatever happened behind the scenes, they didn't experience any of that. And no one in Haiti, it was actually quite difficult to even explain the concept of a warranty in Haiti. No one even believed that this thing existed. And we had to explain it several times through the Soji Express staff that this kind of a project, that this kind of a service existed. But people really appreciated that program. So it was quite an interesting program. Now we're actually in a situation where, based on the success, the IDB, Soji Express, and actually USAID want to scale the program up and do a phase 3. And Frank, who, as I said, wouldn't talk to me really in the first 2 or 3 months of the program, now I can't stop him from talking. He's so excited. And his project, he begins to sound like you, Dipal, and you, Mr. Ghosh, where he's saying, you know, we have 6,000 now, but they want to sell through the agent network that they have. He is imagining in 1 year that they can sell 75,000 products. In 2 years, they can sell 300,000 products. So he is really talking about a scalable solution.
And can you tell us why this is especially relevant to MFIs and in domestic remittance corridors? What's the opportunity here for a big MFI?
So there are a number of microfinance organizations around the world that do have remittance programs. I know that Card has remittance programs, is that right? Yeah. And there are a bunch of other microfinance organizations that have transformed into banks. They realize that there's actually quite an interesting opportunity from that point of view. Some microfinance organizations have tried to link remittances to savings products or to housing products. There's a microfinance organization in the Dominican Republic which normally microfinance organizations use a pull strategy. So you're trying to encourage people in the diaspora to send money back to your institution, where often the idea is that money ends up getting captured in a savings product. For microfinance organizations that are also interested in credit for energy, this is potentially an interesting product. In Kenya, there are a number of microfinance organizations that have, and I think someone was talking about this, maybe somebody from TSPI earlier was talking about this, where they are offering grid extension loans and they're offering utility payment services, which can actually be provided by somebody in the diaspora. So it's related to energy. It's a very interesting product, and it's actually not that complicated if you end up having a license that allows you to receive remittances from other places. To be able to channel that into energy or into bill payment scenarios is really not that complicated a product to develop. So it's an interesting business opportunity for microfinance organizations that are already in the remittance business but have an energy component as well.
Great. I've got several more questions that I would have liked to ask all the panelists, but I'm mindful that it's 10 minutes until we're scheduled to finish, but we'll run a little bit late because we've been running a little bit late all day. So I'm going to limit my questions to anyone on the panel who'd like to answer to just 2 questions, and then we'll open it up. This really touches on the financing energy lending panel earlier. We were talking about financing and the desire that I think we all have, but maybe I'm wrong, that financial first commercial investors will come eventually flocking into the small scale energy sector, and so that there'll be a move away from either soft funding or donor funding once commercial investors believe that the business case has been made. Assuming we do want that, is it going to happen, and what's going to drive or restrict it? To anyone who wants to go first, really, but perhaps Dipal?
I think the commercial money or a private sector, it will take time. Initially, we have to create a market. Then the people get confidence and they join, and then you have a more scaling up. So then Bangladesh case gradually $90, $70, $54, $30, $20. Now any smart subsidy is gone. Only the subsidy means low cost financing, which is very important because even central bank also design a product called a 9%. This is below market rate. Unfortunately, interest rate is very high in Bangladesh. So I believe once we have to create a market and there is a prospect, so everybody will join. Even the Bangladesh for 50,000 system initially thought about it. Now 6 million, and we are talking about the 7.5 million. I think in any case it will be 5 million in a couple of years, 1.5 years, I think. So I believe now other donor agency or funding agencies coming up and proposing Bangladesh to develop a more bigger program. So I think in any situation, once you have a prospect, then other will join. So initially we need a kind of a soft financing or a nurturing the project in a level to build the confidence at the community level, to building the confidence at the energy NGO or energy company level, and then the market will grow. Thank you.
But Willem, do you agree that there's a snowball effect that will happen? And before that happens, is it more about risk or return that's stopping it?
Yeah. So on the commercial funding side, I mean, it's really interesting to hear the whole story of ITCOL, the role it played in Bangladesh, and definitely if ITCOL would be in a country like Uganda, it would all take off much faster. Let it be said. So, you know, the Ugandan government has great intentions. There is no problem about it, but the implementation of their support system is really failing. It's even distorting the market. So as a company, we see less and less role for subsidized funding. We are getting offers for grants frequently, and we refuse them these days. Because it always comes with strings attached. You have to go to a certain region. You have to go to only female clients or whatever. So we have a no grant policy, with the exception of Armacost, who has been extremely instrumental when we wanted to finish our IT system. But having said that, I strongly believe that this market is attractive enough to justify the entrance of commercial investors in the short term. And that is what we want to do. And that is what happened to Microfinance. So we want to learn from that. And actually, just between you and me, I think that the current opportunity with solar energy or renewable energy more in general is more attractive than Microfinance. It has many similarities with the mobile phone industry some 15 years ago. So we better be quick. I would take this as an opportunity and not as something, you know, we need to offer a social service. However, you know, I completely agree with you. You know, it's important. It's adding a lot of value. But in the end, if you really want to make big numbers, we need to have a fully commercial approach. And then I believe that right now already commercial discipline is the way to go. Even though that means that on a short term, you will grow a little bit less fast than, for example, our colleagues in Bangladesh have done, with all respect. And you know, and I'd like to say one thing. In addition, in Bangladesh, just as with Microfinance, right now I don't know what happens there in that country, but every time they prove the concept there. So we are also, as a company in Uganda, we've learned such a lot from the microfinance approach in Bangladesh, and now also from the solar companies there. So with that, I really want to thank you also for doing that great work.
Just one point missing there. I think what Willem mentioned about the potential. I believe if there is 100% electricity, say in Sri Lanka, almost 90% electricity, but the price of electricity is going up and up. So the people are now making procession and shouting that this is the unbearable cost of electricity. So in that case, I was there and I said, why don't you use solar panel in the daytime in a small fan running and only all works, but in the evening you can use the electricity for 1 or 2 hours, even in the freeze. I think in the tomorrow, the energy mix will be interesting. For Bangladesh, I would be if they are 100% electricity, but the cost of running electricity, producing electricity is highly expensive. It is not economically viable. So in that case, if solar energy, we can avoid battery, then we can reduce 60% cost. Because we need a lot of technological intervention or innovation, then we can really change the situation. So I think for sunlight, for nature, or gods, so I think this is a big opportunity. We should use it in a precisely or knowledge-wise. That would be really good for our environment, good for positive climate change, to arresting the global warming, and that will create a balanced world for the future generation. Thank you.
Would either of you like to add anything on that subject?
No, I'm not in the.
I'm not agree with this one term that is called the commercialization. It is better to say that financially viable or not. And in that sense, if I start any project on that, if it is not come as a sustainable or financially viable, and I cannot be ensure the sustainability to others. So that is the big cause is there. So from the beginning is need to design in that way, so how it can be sustained financially. And charity should not be sustainable in a long run. So it can be sometimes also damage the efficiency of the papers and staff and system. And it from beginning it should not like to give that one. If we get that, I'm not the comments on that in the country. Bangladesh is the pioneer of the solar program, but their default rate is very high as compared to the microfinance. So though there is a big money have as a subsidy, so I hope that that this type of enterprise should be start in that way, where it will be financially viable and people will be benefited, and then automatically it will be run. And then other part, if you come to the investor perspective, investors is like to see two things. One is how their money is secured, and second is how return will come. So these are two things, if we not like to keep them, and any investor is not like to see it, they will not come to invest on that. And the third point is it is also come on that if it is at scale. So scale also depend on these two things. And how money is secured. So what money I am giving to the people to purchase this type of solar. So money has come from maybe in a donor, maybe from investor, or maybe from bank, whatever. If your money is repayable, then automatically I also make this type of system where it will be secured. And their confidence build-up has come to the investor level. And investor immediately also like to say that maybe in a small scale they will be think about it a small return, but when it will become as a scale, if we have that opportunities, then their confidence also build up to invest in there, and the scale is possible on that. This is my perspective. Thank you.
And if I could just reiterate what I think each of you has said in different ways. What we believe in ARC is that there is a role for grants, particularly in terms of research, market research, early stage, a catalytic type of role that grant funding can play. There's obviously a role for debt financing, there's a role for equity, there's an important role for guarantees that certain organizations can play. We very much believe in accessing local capital markets and encouraging vehicles that grow local capital markets. I think the IDCOL example is a very interesting, creative example in this space. So we feel as if there are a number of different kinds of financing mechanisms that can actually grow this sector moving forward, and we have a commitment to play any role that we can as ARC Finance in facilitating the growth of this sector, because I think, as Mr. Ghosh eloquently pointed out, what's very important is financial viability of the programs, making the business case, as we would say, and reaching scale. And if we don't do those two things, then we won't have succeeded in this mission.
Well, let's try something a little bit different. Instead of me asking questions to these guys and then opening it up to you, why don't I ask my last question to anyone who wants to answer it? Because it's a difficult question. So anyone who has any thoughts, please answer it and then we'll wrap up. This summit, starting tomorrow, is all about partnerships and poverty, and partnerships has been obviously a dominant theme of today's workshop. But let's imagine that we fast forward 10 years to the 2023 Microcredit Summit, which might be in Kampala or Calcutta or Bihar, who knows. And there's a day-long session or a panel on small-scale energy. Anyone want to have a prediction on sort of what will be the dominant themes of the day? So, in short, where are we going to be in 10 years compared to now?
Sam, just before you ask the question, do you still assume, you seem to assume that in 10 years such a summit is still needed?
Well, that's a separate question, and that probably won't be called the Microcredit Summit either, but let's assume for the sake of this argument that it does.
Well, I have a prediction, which is that I don't think Dipal will be talking about Bangladesh as a solar nation. He'll be talking about a solar universe at that point.
And to that, and to Willem's point, I think there will be Citibanks and JP Morgans of the world deciding on a credit defaults market for solar financing.
And you guys will be bigger than Kiva, so.
Not in the same space exactly.
Right. Anyone? Any thoughts? Yeah, I'm sure Nazma, you have something to say.
I'll just give one information regarding default, as Mr. Ghosh mentioned about high default. I don't know what they meant by that. So in our program, the collection efficiency is 98%. So I don't know what default you're mentioning. In terms of technical default, it's less than 1% technical problems. Both financial and technical.
It's a psychological problem.
All right. And in terms of the Willem comment on default's presence in Kampala, how many capacity building support should you require that in some of the countries?
So in answer to Sam's question, maybe in 2013 we'll have 10 or 15 IDCOLs around the world.
Yeah, I think there will be IDCOL, Kampala, IDCOL, other places. One thing I think 10 years, 5 years, I think there is a movement going around, because we have people involved in microfinance, because this is a micro thinking, but there is other world also moving around. I liberated myself from microcredit in 2009 December, so I'm moving around and see there is urbanization is coming up seriously. And you see in Germany in this year, in June 26th, the longest day, 23rd or 26th, I was there, the longest day in Europe, and 53% electricity producing at that particular day from solar energy in Germany. because online, they showed it online. So I think the Germany, the country, is not a lot of sunshine, but that day is beautiful because longest day, 53% electricity producing from the solar energy in that particular day, and online. I believe there is now the city is coming up, regenerative city, and production, agricultural production, the top of the building, and trying to develop the whole city 100% from the renewable sources. So, because they are a limited scope, so they are creating other neighboring small town and producing electricity from biomass and others and transferring to the big cities. They are creating a kind of a employment generation, and at the same time city become a renewable energy city. So I think a lot of things is going on. The technology can be designed in such a way. It can be, because the renewable energy in the hands of the oil company for many years, now is liberated from the oil company. So now it's a free, economic free. I believe because it is not a kind of only emotion, it is a reality, because all climate change is happening every day. Unless we have a tsunami, unless we have a earthquake, we don't think about anything. That's why once you have a tsunami and earthquake, then you think about the climate change. So I believe, because so far the knowledge available in the civilization, if there is a global warming happening and is irreparable, you cannot think about something rectified. Before that, if you be proactive for rectification, I believe there is the knowledge and science available to our time, that if you can reduce the 1 degree Celsius warming or 2 degrees Celsius, arrest it at least, this world would be much better. So in that case, we need a less carbon or low carbon technology, so that it will help us. It's not only making money, it is our existence. It is our existence of the society, civilization, everything. In that case, I think there is a greater perspective. 5 to 10 years, who's know that's kind of partnership against poverty. Against poverty or partnership or different kind of situation will come up. I believe this would be a mainframe, because the microfinance institution also now feel that they need a different product, they need a different subject, they need a different diversification, everyone. So I think this is reality, and we have to intervene, we have to be proactive. It's not only the binding in our only micro, we can open so that it will be better for us. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a sad.
India already started on this one. If you generate any of the solar power, and government will be purchasing from you, and give also the some of the investment money for subsidy. And I'm asking that the question is there. There is any difference of the repayment rate of microfinance organization, those are involved in solar, and non-microfinance organization, those are providing solar? Who will be Dipal or give the answer?
Is the practical neutral? You can I cannot comment on it because we do not provide support for any other purpose other than solar.
So whatever I comments in the previous one is a microfinance organization. Thank you. I have the data I can give to you. Okay, thank you.
Saiful.
The question, I just want. I was just thinking when you asked that question that 10 years from now, I was closing my eyes and I went back 10 years actually. And I was thinking about cell phone. The cell phone that we use now, which I continuously check my email, it's like it become actually addictive. So I didn't even think about it 10 years ago. I'm sure nobody has thought about it. So if you just take that example and now fast forward 10 years, where solar or energy, renewable energy will be, I think we'll get some idea. And that will be quite a predictable idea. And also if you just, Dipal was highlighting the price of solar, the battery, and all this equipment. I mean, if you just compare that against 2-3 years, there is big difference. The product quality 3 years or 4 years ago compared to what we see today there is gulf difference. Nowadays, product companies are giving like 2 years guarantee. So I think with these, some data that we have, I think that if we think about the 10 years from now, I see the 10 year is a huge improvement we'll see. I see that there will be changes in the socio-economic situation of the clients that we are serving. Because the per capita income in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and other countries, they are actually improving. And improving meaning they will have more equipments that they like to buy. And these are electronic equipments which needs to be charged. So I see it's a huge market that is there out there. And also for clients, this will change their life.
And Saiful, as you're talking, it reminded me, I think it's going to change all of our lives as well. You reminded me of a conversation you and I had. Saiful was at my house, and a friend had dropped by to visit, who is a solar entrepreneur in New York. And one of the things that he was showing us was that the price for solar has gone down so much that in New York, if I were to put solar on my house, I would end up making my money back after 3 years. And when we did this, my husband and I did this analysis maybe 6 years ago, it was going to take 15 years. That's really interesting in 3 years to have that shift. I would love to be having this conversation in 10 years and to find out how many of Govin's branches are solar powered at that point. Maybe 100% will be solar powered. Maybe a microfinance organization that isn't solar powered will be a strange phenomenon. We have one organization that we know that we work with in Pakistan that has solar powered ATMs already now. Maybe that will be common. I think that the interesting thing is that when you begin to dream and when as Saiful says, you shut your eyes and you imagine the future, and one person says one thing, suddenly many things become possible that we couldn't imagine before. Were you going to say something, Mike?
Yeah, I just have in this entire discussion, there's one thing that we should not forget is that the entire objective is renewable energy. Yeah. And though there is an overwhelming focus on solar, but we should not be ignoring the other sources of energy, because as somebody said, local variations are going to be extremely important. So there will be significant regions across the world where maybe micro hydro is the right answer. Because solar, if you look at it, the per unit cost I believe are still high, though I'm not an expert to comment on it, but as far as my knowledge goes. So I believe that we need, on a 10-year horizon, we need to keep the larger context in place and then put across what fits the local situation the best. And the answer may be that it's not solar always. It's just muscle power.
We agree with this. Actually, it's not the solar. That I mentioned, topography is different.
Absolutely. Biogas may be a viable solution for a lot of varieties actually.
In wind turbines. I think that's probably a pretty good place to wrap up. We've run on quite a bit. So I'd like to thank my esteemed co-panelists today for their time and insights. And I'm sure Nikki has a few words to say to everyone else.
Well, Sam, I'd like to thank you for doing a fantastic job of moderating. And Saiful, earlier, you did a wonderful job of moderating. To all our panelists here during this panel and all the panelists who came before, thank you all for your insights, for your candor, for your honesty, for your willingness to share not only your successes, but also your challenges. We at ARC find the challenges as instructive sometimes more instructive actually even than the successes. Thanks to all of you who are our guests here for coming to share today with us. Thank you for your great questions. On behalf of ARC, on behalf of the team that's here, on behalf of the ARC team that's in other places, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to that meeting in 2023 to see what everyone has done in the meantime. I'm sure that there will be big successes and that the poor people of the world will be ultimately the ones that will have benefited from the work that all of you do. So thank you very much.